Hey everybody, welcome back to our reviews. This week it is Season 4, Episode 13 of Fear the Walking Dead, BlackJack. With me as always is Jason.
Hey ho.
At least he's not sleepy time Jason this time.
That's true.
But he is under the weather Jason this time.
Oh yeah, so, you know.
So we almost have the full Jason back, but full disclosure, we are doing this a week later. We were not able to get together to do the review for BlackJack last week, which is why we're doing it now. We're going to be doing 13 and 14 back to back. But we've done a little bit of a recap here. Okay, so the big thing about this episode, I think the premiere thing. Well, you kind of had two. You had Luciana, and we find out what's going on with Luciana. But I would have to say the main thing of the episode was the situation interaction between Strand and John. Jason, your overall opinions of this week's episode 13.
I definitely enjoyed it more than I enjoyed episode 14. It was good to see characters that have sort of flown under the radar most of the season start to get the spotlight again.
For sure.
It was so overall, I left it with pretty positive feelings. Didn't blow my socks off, but it wasn't a bad episode.
Okay, the interaction between John and Strand was fun. These are very different characters. John's half-cooked ideas of making a raft and his initial attempt is pitiful, and you can see it. But at least he's trying. John will admittedly say he's not the smartest guy. He's not the brightest bulb, but he's trying. They're stuck on an island from all that rainfall. Kind of weird. If you've ever been in Texas, the majority of Texas, you're not going to find a random island appear over rainfall, but you're not typically going to see that kind of rainfall either. But then to have an alligator pop up, that's pretty weird. But I can appreciate the scenario that they're in. They're trying to put them in the scenario of, well, okay, they're kind of stuck on this island that was formed from all that rain. They're running out of food. There's walkers around. That can be dealt with easily enough. But there's an alligator out there. And it was an interesting scenario. It was a fair amount of fun. This is definitely the best part of the episode, I think, overall. But that's not to also overshadow what was going on with Luciana. So a little bit of confusion here, because I think we thought that we found the truck driver.
Yeah,
but I don't think we did find the truck driver. I think this guy is the truck driver. the guy that's in the car.
Yeah, you think this guy's the truck driver?
Well, mainly because he's got more notebooks. There were some notebooks found in the truck. But he has more notebooks with him. Mm-hmm. But so the big question is this Polar Bear? And they don't actually name him. I don't think they give him a name through the whole episode. So I don't know if we really know if he's Polar Bear now, which is the guy who's orchestrated the whole truck driving, leave a box, take what you need, leave what you don't scenario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you think this is Polar Bear?
I didn't before, but that makes sense,
Okay.
I was still hanging on to the other guy being it. Of course, in my mind, I was like, all right, that's fine.
No, there's a lot more going on here, and as we find from this week's episode, I'm not going to talk about 14 too much. We're talking about 13. Martha is on a quest to destroy this guy. He's like the anti-everything for her. So, and we'll talk about that in next week's review, in episode 14's review. But this was an interesting interaction. So definitely it's something that they've pinned on all the former main cast. You're talking about, well, not even so much Strand, but you're talking about Luciana. You're talking about Alicia. They have this drive to want to help people.
Yeah.
Something that I think obviously was from the deaths of Nick and more so Madison. But it's this obsession, which makes a little bit more sense for Alicia. This is like, this is her thing now. It's like, despite the fact that she thinks the world is completely horrible and doom and gloom, she's still on this mission to try to do what she can. That being said, she's trying to steer away from anything that could be bad. And we'll talk about that more in 14 because they don't show that too much in 13. But we get it. We definitely get a lot of it with Luciana this time.
Yeah.
And again, I enjoyed Luciana a lot. I think this is probably the most underrated character on the show right now. What do you think of the whole thing with her and the guy in the car and all that?
It was interesting. It really made me think about Madison's effect on other people. Even after she's been gone for this period of time, we still see the effect that she had on the people she traveled with. Luciana was sort of an unknown factor because we only picked her up last season.
Yeah. Well, she was in 2 for a bit, but then she was around for a little bit of 3. And then she disappeared for most of it, and then just kind of reappeared out of nowhere.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. But
But when you have a year and a half that you're just going to skip by, I suppose anyone can appear out of nowhere.
Yeah, but no, I took that. It was sort of like Madison's lasting influence on the people she had spent her time with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Nick even more so, having a big effect on her. Although at the same time, and like I said, probably the only person who hasn't had the same effect is Strand, who's kind of taken a I don't give a fuck to everything, and which is fun and quite honestly a nice way to shake things up a little bit because John's very hopeful. Alicia not hopeful, but is just trying to find something good. Luciana trying to do good things. Morgan, for good or for bad, is always attempting to do good things. But here you have Strand like, I'm just gonna go get drunk. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I think I'll just drink this off. Which is always kind of fun when he's just heckling John the whole time while he's trying to build these rafts, and then in an attempt to help John, trying to get that cab off the truck, finds the walker in there with wine, and then gets distracted with that trying to get the wine, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I enjoyed that.
But yeah, so we get a little bit more with Martha, which at this point we don't know her name. We learned that in 14. I've been trying to piece this together, and in fact, had watched the episode again today, along with 14 again, which just came out yesterday, and I'm really trying to piece together a lot. And they talk about it a lot in this episode. There's a thing between her and Morgan,
mm-hmm.
and I don't think that has anything to do with Morgan. I think that entirely has to do with her, and she has clung on to something about him. But I'm still not convinced that she doesn't actually know him from a previous time, but he doesn't know her.
Oh, so you think she was like a stalker, maybe?
I don't know if it's, I don't know much. I don't have much to say about it, but she seems to know him more than just that time when they passed each other on the road and the times they've spoken to each other on the radio. It seems like there's more there. And of course, we learn more about her history in the next episode, so we're not going to talk about that too much. I'll say this, and I'll get more into it into 14's review. But she seems to be able to use a lot of things. Like she can drive semi. She can also drive a SWAT van, and she can also apparently without much of an issue learn how to use those rigged guns on a SWAT van.
Yeah,
without much issue. And up until 14, you don't know much about her, but from what we learned in 14, this is all pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about more. We'll talk more about that in the next review. But what are your feelings here on Martha so far, and what's going on here?
To be fair, I wasn't super impressed with her. She's the sort of same kind of trope we've seen again and again. Like, it fits for a zombie apocalypse, but it's that whole, like, strong survive, weak perish, war makes us the best humans that we can be sort of mentality that, like, every bad guy in an apocalypse scenario has to have.
Definitely, I agree with that, at least from Walking Dead with the governor. Even though he wouldn't reflect it in the way that she does. I don't think I agree with that with Negan, though. In fact, I would say that Negan, while he would surround himself with his soldiers kind of with that mentality, he knew that he had to have the base of people who needed him.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to say that every villain in Walking Dead had that archetype, but like if we look at, like general fiction, it pops up quite a bit.
General fiction? No, yeah, I agree. We'll talk again. We'll get into that in 14. I don't really think there's much more to say in this episode, though. They get in contact with Alicia at the end, and they're starting to put everyone back together. They put John and Strand in a pretty hopeless situation. Be interesting to see how they get out of that. But I think that's pretty much it for 13, isn't it?
Yeah. We talked about how it ended with her rolling up in the SWAT van and like shooting at all of them.
Yep. Drive-by shooting. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and we'll leave it with that. 1 out of 5 zombie drive-bys. What do you give it, Jason?
Solid 2.5.
All right. I'm gonna go with a 3. This would be bad, with the exception. I do think the interaction between Luciana and the guy, maybe that's Polar Bear, maybe it's not, but the guy in the car, that was really cool. The stuff with John and Strand, that was a bit of a flawed scenario, but also a lot of fun.
I agree.
All right, well, guys, let us know what you think. What do you think of this episode? Let us know below. If you like our reviews, please like and subscribe. But I think that's going to do it for this one. So I'll be putting these up back to back. So go ahead and follow us on the next one for episode 14, so that we are all caught up and talking about what's the latest with the show. But until then, Jason, any last words?
Watch out for zombies in the hood.
I'm glad we could go an episode without you just kind of throwing me off. That's good. I was worried. I thought it wasn't going to happen. All right. Okay, so that's it. We'll see you for the next week.
Bye.
Hey people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, is there anything to go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but it's great if you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksongmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Yeah, who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, pick up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.